What's going on, YouTube? I got a bunch of wood that came in. There's a bunch of apple here. There's a bunch of apple here that I picked up at a job site where I helped remove the branches. And I went to the tree service company down the road to get some wood, and there was a bunch of mulberry. There's a little bit of red oak, a couple pieces, or there's 3 or 4 in here. And what else is there? There's a piece of honey locust. There's a couple pieces of Norway maple. And that's about it. So what else I gotta do is I gotta bag up some smoker wood, because I gotta bring in some bags over to the shop. I've been selling a bunch of those, so I gotta replenish that stock. And then I'm gonna cut up more of this apple and stick it in that crate. So I'm gonna try and get some of that dry stuff out of there and circulate some of this wet stuff in. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna get into any of this black locust over here, but I wanna just kind of clear up all this section over here, basically what's come in the last couple days. So let's get to it. time to get into this apple. There's lots of boiler wood in here. Some of this is too rotten, so I'll keep whatever I can for myself and try and separate the good wood. And then I'm going to cut all of these, like all these branch logs, I'm going to cut into just single pieces, like chunks, and then these smaller diameters, just going to cut them into coins. I'm going to chop these all up for smoker wood. Let's get the saw and buzz this up. Guys have never smelled apple wood before, this stuff smells amazing. You could tell it smells like apple, and like it smells a little bit rotten apples. But if you really know what it's like on the barbecue or in the smoker, then that smell becomes good and it doesn't smell so bad. Probably my most popular smoker wood. People have been buying a lot of oak this year. And I got some in the back. I got to cut a bunch of coins. And I got a bunch over at Smoker City over in the corner. And this stuff is so wet, the water squirts out when you start splitting it open. Sometimes it'll split easy, sometimes it's a little harder. This stuff looks good so far. So here's a story about the worst tree cutters ever. So one time, back in the day before I was getting a good wood supply, I was looking around on the internet, the classified ads, looking for wood. So I saw these guys advertising to get some wood, and it was in the area too. So I went over there, I pulled up, I don't see no truck, I don't see no crew, I don't see no equipment, I don't see anything like that, right? So what's going on. So I start walking into the backyard, and I see they got all kinds of branches from the apple tree. I saw the two guys in the back, and they looked like total rookies. So I went to them, I said, hey, I'm here for the firewood. So the guy says, start with that. He points to the pile of branches. So I'm like, this story's getting worse as it goes on. I told him, that's not firewood, man. That's not what people save to burn for heat. I take 3 or 4 inch diameter and more. That's it. So then the guy said, well, can't you please take them? I said, no, man. I do not use that for my business. So I look at the tree, and the tree's bowed over. It's not very big. It was a little thick, but it wasn't very big overall. So then, you know, I'm looking around for equipment. I see they have this little chainsaw. The guy who's with him, he's using the saw, and he's cutting the tree. And the cuts are taking forever because the chain's not sharp, right? So I said to the guy, well, you got to sharpen that chain. The guy says, that's Home Depot's responsibility. He rented the chainsaw from Home Depot. So this guy had no equipment. I didn't even finish telling you about the car that he had. The car that he had was like a little Chevy Sonic or whatever. So he has this little like 4-door putter, and he's claiming to be a tree cutter, you know? I don't think I can't remember if I got any wood from there. If I did, it wasn't much, because most of the tree was still up. And these guys are going to take a couple days minimum to finish up this tree. And it was only about maybe, I don't know, 6-7 feet high, and it had that angle. Like I said, it was thick, so their chainsaw wasn't even big enough to begin with. But these guys were the worst. And then I was telling them about the whole process of cutting the tree. And I'm not a tree cutter. I'm not an arborist. I might have cut down 2 trees in my life. But because I've been on job sites, I've seen the process, so I know what's going on. So I was telling this guy how to do this. And then his friend, he keeps saying, yeah, every time I say something, you know, he's like backing me up, right? So I guess he was upset about what was going on there, because they weren't making no progress. And other than that little chainsaw, they didn't have any other equipment. They didn't have any way to take away the branches. Nothing. I wonder how much they charged and how much they walked away with after the time, after the guy paid his friend and everything, right? Well, I couldn't believe it, man. I'm like, you can't get a story worse than this. This should be a YouTube bloopers video of chainsaw or a tree cutter fail. So here's the other story. So I saw an ad that says free maple. So okay, it's just down the road again. Let me go check it out, right? So I go down there, and it's a black locust tree. So I'm like, nice, you know? Wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a maple, right? So I see the guys, and they have these massive branch sections that are piled up. So I'm like, okay, I can't even really lift that. And you guys know me, I'm strong, right? But these things are huge, man. It's more of a hassle. Even though like I can move them, it's just more of a hassle when they're bigger, right? And the guy's making these cuts, the chainsaw's dull, and it's taking forever just to go through branch for branch. I told him, like, I can take some, yeah, but it's not really feasible for me because this stuff is so big. And then another time they called, and they were in the area once again, and I see it says maple, so I go there. Obviously it's not a maple, and it's a big poplar. And what I find with guys who are coming to pick up wood, you know, they're looking for wood on Kijiji. A lot of the guys are older, you know, they're not working during the day. They might have a chainsaw, and they might have, you know, a little truck and a little trailer, or they might even have a hatchback, and you know, they're not coming to go and haul big wood and everything, right? But anyways, I get to this house, they have a skid steer, and they have a dump trailer, and they have a truck this time. So they do have equipment. And this poplar was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. This poplar tree was about this wide at the base, and had another section just as wide that came off at the bottom of the tree, and it just came and it curled and it went up like this, right? It was probably bigger than that too. So they're cutting these massive sections off this tree and they're putting it on the side of the road saying, yeah, come and take it. Well, how are you gonna load it? The wood is so big and it's so heavy, you can't even move those pieces. So I told the guy, if you're gonna tell people free firewood, make sure they're able to load it, you know. Now they did have the skid steer, right? So they can do it themselves, but I remember asking the guy, I think it was at the other job site with the black locust, I said, why do you guys cut these sections so big? The guy says, because I'm lazy. Oh, okay, so you want to make it harder to get rid of the wood, right? Because who wants it that big? We're in a city, right? This is not a place where people have big splitters and they're ready to deal with big diameter, you know what I mean? Most people, they don't have a splitter, right? Most people, they don't have an axe. Because they're just buying wood that's there. You know, they might have a little hatchet for kindling, but they're not doing any type of processing themselves. Like I said, of course, the guy said it was maple, and it wasn't maple, because he just thinks every tree is a maple tree. He has no clue what he's talking about. I wonder what's the story with those guys now. That was about 10 years ago. But anyways, that's my story about the world's worst tree cutters. Alright, so there's a little more to do. I gotta finish up here. My battery's getting low. My fuse is blowing because I gotta shorten the truck. I gotta change the steering column because there's some shorting with the wiring and it's messing up all my electrical in the dash. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, comment, and all that good stuff.